up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of CANiVISION Live. We have the incredibly legendary Coach Ted Gustus representing out of New York. And not only is he a great coach, mentor to folks within the basketball lane, but also beyond. He's been an inspiration for decades upon decades to brothers like myself. In the entertainment lane, in the media lane, and just in life. He has accolades galore. He's won the New York Coach of the Year multiple years. He's been recognized by President Barack Obama, and I just can't say enough great things to introduce this young man with us today. Coach Ted Gustus, how you doing today, brother?
Yo, listen, I'm doing great. Listen, you ain't got to spell out ID. You got Google, man. I always tell them, Google that, man. You know, you could Google me. You'll get a whole bunch of stuff about me, you know. Hey, I'm great, man. I'm happy to be here. And thank you, man, for inviting me to your show, man. I appreciate it very much. I'm doing very well as well.
The pleasure is all mine. And you have a book coming out on February 1st, Fixing America's Hood. You want to tell us a little bit about your book and tell everybody a little bit of your background too, please?
Yeah. That book is. I'm excited about putting that book out. That's actually my second book. My first one was Confessions of a Mad Black Coach. Mad meaning making a difference, and I go into talking about how I got involved in coaching and my desire to make a difference in my community. I've been coaching basketball here in the New York City area for about over 45 years.
Wow.
And so basically from that, I got a chance to coach a lot of NBA stars and players that you probably know, a lot of college. And the most important thing is helping young people get to college, period, using the game of basketball. I am also a life coach, particularly when it deals with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with how you have a relationship with everything in life. I don't care if it's your car, because we have one, your lady. I'm really good with the ladies. So any of your folks on there, y'all got to know, been married for 40 years. And I ain't just talking about no weak marriage. I'm talking about like straight up stuff, you know. Not that we never had any problems, but we don't even call them problems, we call them challenges. Yes. So I love doing that. I love my young people. I think our future is bright with all of my young people. And as an OG, I spend a lot of time investing time in my young generation. So today I hope to talk about my book. It's called Post-COVID-19, A New Normal. It's time to fix America's hoods.
Yes.
That means that the hood is broken. It ain't all good in the hood. And so I offer a 12-step game plan to doing that. Mm-hmm. And lay out a whole thing. I'm not just talking about it, but also doing and becoming. But it is time to fix the hood. And we'll talk about why, but the reality is we got to come to grip that the hood is broken. I call it America's hood because it's a product that was created in this country. 100% made in USA.
Yes.
Is a product that is broken. And anytime America has a product that is broken, they look to bring that product and recall it and fix it. I don't care if the brakes are broken, the seat belts are broken. They're not going to let that product be out there and have an inferior product. So basically, the hood as it is definitely not good at all. And COVID-19 was a perfect example of how bad we are. We couldn't even save our grandmothers, our children, our uncles, all dying. We got to wake up. This is so important now because this pandemic has showed us that we are vulnerable in some of the behaviors that we have conducted ourselves over the years. There's some things that we could directly do. We don't need nobody coming in to fix America hood. We got to be the one to fix it. So I got some thought process on that from a coaching standpoint, things that work with our young, especially our young black men, young boys, black boys, and how to raise them up to become men of responsibility and so forth. We are male by birth, man by choice. Male by birth, man by choice. We don't need male role models. We need men role models. We got enough male role models. A cockroach could be a male. A dog could be a male.
Yeah.
So when I hear people say male, we need male role models, I'm like, oh God, no, we don't. We got enough of them. Because when they make babies on the street, they don't protect their seed. You know, you see two dogs hook up on the street.
Right.
Is it whatever goes down, go down. Everybody go their way.
Right.
We can't be male role models. We got to be men role models. We got to be women role models instead of female or man or male role models. So there's just that language is enough to keep us in bondage as we go, because words have creative power and they create our world. So we got to be very careful about that.
Right. And words matter, right? And words matter. And as much as people want to think that they don't, they absolutely do. And I think what the importance of what you're doing is so profound, because we're all connected, right? And as you said, the hood is a product of America. I'm always seeing America through the lens of the cannabis industry, whether it's on the THC side or the CBD side. And I always tell people, like, we're all connected. America, everybody loves America in the world.
Yes.
And our biggest export is culture, right? And I would say a conservative amount of that culture is Black. 90% of that, 95% of that is Black culture. Where America gets its culture from is the Black community, and the Black community is the hood. And what you're doing here with the 12-step program, a lot of us are familiar with, is all about rehabilitation, correct?
Exactly, because what happens is we have the first step of the 12-step game plan. I call it game plan because I'm a coach. What does a coach do? A coach is like a coach bus, coach train, coach plane. Find out where you want to go and help you get there, get to your final destination. So that's what I do. I do three things. I do one, I have a game plan. I recruit players like you to fit the game plan, and then we go out and execute. That's the whole thing that is in a nutshell. But you're absolutely right. And I call us a product. Somebody asked me, how you gonna call Blacks products or people from the hood products? Because we came here as a product. Let's not get it twisted.
Yep.
And they have failed to dehumanize us, because there was an attempt to do it, but they couldn't do it because we are humans. You can't dehumanize somebody that has the ability to think. And we have the ability to think. So what happens? It fell. But in that failure came a broken product called the hood, America's hood. And I call it America's hood with the apostrophe S, and I put a TM on the end of it because it is a product that belongs here. And we went through the process. That's how we got to this point.
Right.
What makes us broken? Well, look at it. We number one in infant mortality, number one in diabetes, number one in, you name any behavior, any negative things about us, we are number one in it.
Right.
That means we broken. And you know what? I just had a brother-in-law that just passed, right?
Right.
And I'm sorry. And what happened is, when the medical examiners came back to tell us why he died, they list that he had a natural death. But then they said he had a natural death. He died of natural causes. And then they said, but he had diabetes, he had high blood pressure, he had something wrong with the prostate, and then you also had hypertension. But that's a natural cause in Black men. Think about that.
That's hard.
That's natural? Come on.
There's nothing natural.
Tell me that's natural.
There's nothing natural about any of that. And It just breaks my heart because, my father died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. My grandmother died of pancreatic cancer. My uncle, multiple myeloma, and a lot of these cancers. As I've gotten older, I've started to read into it. A lot of it goes back to diet. It goes back to lifestyle, living a healthy lifestyle, and it goes back to mindset on all of that, right? So how do we? And before we got started on our interview today, I even told you a little bit about me and changing my diet because of gout. I want to live longer. I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my body. I want to make sure that I'm able to live a long life like yourself and still be shooting hoops, well into my elder years. How can we begin to convey that message to the people of our communities? Because it's important that we get that information out.
So what's going on with this here, Rico, is this. You think about this here. We know that our community is devastated.
Right.
I mean, we just got a lot of stuff that we got to deal with. And what COVID has done, it showed us we could barely even breathe. Most of us went to the hospital because we had the inability to breathe. So that's why I talk about the power in one breath, that the ability to breathe is something. So let's forget about the food, not forget about the food, but let's look at the lifestyle of let's breathe right.
Right.
Some of us breathe from here on up instead of from the diaphragm, bringing in the breath so that you can push it out and come in. That's an exercise. You have to do this on a regular basis. As you bring in the breath, you bring in oxygen into your body and allow it to flow. A lot of times our body lack oxygen. Look at COVID-19. It proved whenever we could not breathe and the oxygen goes low, then what happens is we got sick and we lost a lot of people because we breathing like this. And then when you add stress to it, it automatically hits it. And then all of a sudden you're breathing, your heart goes, you're not getting any oxygen there. There's a big challenge. So I introduced the 12-step game plan because in my family out of the hood, because people ask me, well, what qualifies you? Because one, I was raised in the hood. I from the hood. I've seen 4 of 6 of my family members, my siblings, killed from the hood. 4 of 6. I'm the baby. And I have a moral obligation to step out, knowing what this hood needs to be changed. And one of the things that we have is we are addicted and we have compulsive behaviors. And I'm not talking about drugs. I'm talking about we're addicted to negative thoughts and behaviors. So my book addressed that. That's why when you hear somebody say, why are you hating on them? Why this generation is hating on the next generation? And what is hating? That's a negative thought. And it's like you can't be satisfied until you hate on your brother or your sister or your next guy. So there's a strategy, a game plan for us to fix that. We got to fix that internally. And I'm putting that out there. So the first step is honesty. If you're not willing to be honest about this here, then you can't talk to me. When you decide to be honest that first, this product is broken, we're broken, we need to fix it. So if you notice on my shirt, it says, Coach Fix My Hood, hashtag Coach Fix My Hood.
Right.
The reason is because to me, one of the most powerful individuals in our community that we're not paying a lot of attention to, like we should, is the coach. That person is revered. That person is respected. That person command respect. That's the one person that can get up in your face and call you, get you right, and you ain't ready to kick his butt and so forth like that. There is the coach. The coach is the one that's capable of doing that. So when you ask me about my situation, when John Sally, who's one of my former players, I had him since he was 12 years old. He never was this high. He was always like this, But John is a vegan. And I asked him to come and coach me,
Big shout out to John Sally.
Yeah.
Big,
So,
yeah, huge shout out
so
to John Sally. He's a good friend, and he's always talking about the vegan lifestyle. I'm transitioning over to what do you call it? The pescatarian right now, and I hope to be full vegan by the end of the year because I care about that, right? And we should all be caring about what we're putting into our bodies. And we were never meant to be eating on so much meat as much as we do, right? And John, he looks great. His skin looks great. He's moving around better now than he had years ago because he is full vegan. Is that something that you incorporate in your lifestyle? The plant?
well, yeah. So John and I, that's my buddy. I mean, he's one of my players. So once the player, always one of my guys. And when he got into this vegan stuff, I admonished him and say, "Hey, yo, you need to coach." He like, "Coach, I'm not a coach." I said, "Yes, you are." And I said, "This is what I want to do with you. I want you to become a one breath transformation coach." That's one of the things that I help individuals to become a coach. And I said, I want to be your first person that you coach. And so about 5 years ago, he started coaching me on this vegan thing. And I started giving him the one breath transformation coaching techniques, which I do with individuals so that they could become coaches. And once I became coachable through him, then I became a vegan.
Right.
And I became what you call a vegan diet. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I have a plant-based diet. That's not necessarily I am a vegan from a philosophy standpoint,
Right.
but I am a vegan. I have the vegan diet because I'm looking for my health. So yes, that's what I do.
And how
John,
how old are you? About 42, 43?
who right now?
You
Yo,
40?
man, don't even try it. I still got my jumper going, boy. Yo, you check out any of those videos, man. I still got the crossover swinging back and forth.
I saw it. You still got to step back. You step back, jumpers wet.
I got, hey, especially when Hardy give you an extra step, I take those. And when they tell me, yo, you can't do that, I say, yes, Hardy does that. I get 2-3 steps back. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
Bang.
oh.
I love playing ball. I'm 67 years old, and I love playing ball. I love hooping, and I keep my youth for being around people of youth. I'm sorry, and my whole goal with everything I do is how do I bring my generation to the tap into your generation, and also to bring the wisdom that they have in there. And I have a slogan. I said, as I learn, I teach, and as I teach, I learn. So I'm coming with a relationship to say, hey, look, I want to learn as well.
Right.
I don't want to walk around with a flip phone. I want to be on Instagram. I want to be on Twitter. I want to be on Facebook. Now I'm on the what is that? The clubhouse, the club room. Man, I'm on that. And every time I come on it now, everybody's like, yo, coach, come up. I want you on the stage. I'm gonna have to start charging them, man. Because they put me on the stage. Yo, I got the legendary coach. I'm having a ball on that. My daughter introduced that to me.
It comes full circle, right? And,
yeah.
And I think that's so awesome, learning from multiple generations because we can all coach each other in different aspects of our game, right?
Exactly.
And like one of the big things I know that we spoke a little bit about cannabis on the CBD side before, and my grandfather, right? I don't know if I told you this, but my grandfather, when I left corporate finance, I was in corporate finance for 10 years. I left corporate finance. A lot of people didn't even talk to me. They wrote me off in my family because they were mad because you did this, you got 2 Northwestern degrees, and you didn't make it to NFL. You got into corporate finance. You threw away your career. I'm like, this is what the future is. Like corporate finance when I was in it about 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, it was already starting to die. And the money that I was making was not attainable the next year and the next year. And cannabis actually did save my life. It helped me break my own addiction, and I knew that there was more to it. So once I found out that my tumor was benign in my throat, the first thing I wanted to do was go towards what I knew was working, and that was cannabis. And now everybody's jumping in. And one of the first people, the craziest thing, one of the first people who called me up to ask me to coach him up was my grandfather. And so my grandfather from Martinique, he has gout like I do.
Mm-hmm.
And he had multiple ailments, like from his knees to his elbows. And he told me, he's like, tell me about this CBD. And I gave him a full coaching session, the first time, and then he called me up a couple of more times, and I was able to get him some product. He's down in Florida, and he danced for the first time in almost 10 years. Right?
He was throwing down, man. Yeah.
He was throwing. He's from my grandfather. He's from Martinique.
Okay, yo, so I
and
know you had some music
he's
going.
popular with the ladies down there too. And he's like, man, he's like, I haven't been able to dance like this in years.
That's right.
And I was able to reach across that generation. And now, as we are, CBD is worldwide. THC is starting to spread worldwide as well. And I'm able to coach older generations. And I really think that's important. What you're talking about, reaching across generations and learning and continuing to learn.
The thing about it, like I tell my generation, when you go and they ask me too, they say, yo, when you get with the young people, how do you get with them? I say, well, the thing about it, I don't go, our young people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
That's the first thing, so you can't come with your knowledge if you don't show them that you care.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So once you show them that you care, then you, especially black people, that's our number one thing. If they don't like you or they don't have a care for you, and it's interesting that what you're doing is what you've done, because the guy that started this gentleman factory, he was another fool. I mean, not fool, that left the job and decided that he gonna go and start this gentleman factory type situation. And imagine if you guys wouldn't have did that. Because when you making 200,000 a year, 150, $150 and stuff, in our community, like, yo, you have arrived. And basically, I try to tell my daughter, she did the same thing. She like, yo, dad, I gave my daughters two options. I said, if you go to college, I got you financially, and you're gonna satisfy your mother's dream. But if you come to me with a 5-year game plan, a business plan, then I'll take that money that I was going to put in college and put in your business.
Wow.
And my daughter came to me after 2 years of college, and she's like, yo, dad, you remember that offer you had? Does it still exist? I said, yes. I was so happy. Her mother was pissed off because, we got balance. And I like, look, and she has not looked back since. And her husband is like the king and queen of business,
Right.
So you guys need the support. You know what? Let me just say this to your young listeners as well. And if you ain't got any OGs, but after you put me on, the OG is gonna be watching this too. Right. So, but why would you want to take an 800 credit score to your grave?
Yes.
You tell me that. That bugs me out. My father used to tell me, man, I got an 800 credit score. I said, you do? So that means we could buy a couple of buildings and everything. I got the money because I'm working with that 800 credit score I need. Yeah, no, you ain't messing up my credit score. I said, but you're going to take it to the grave with you, 800 going 6 feet down low with you when I could have been using it. So what we have to do is change that thinking. And that's one of the things I talk about in my book on how we do it. Don't take your credit scores to the grave with you. Use them. Oh, I ain't gonna let him mess my credit score up. Well, while you're alive, you could be right on top of it. you
Right.
know. But this is some of the things that generationally that we can do, and I talk about that and setting up trust funds and what's
Mhm.
the importance of that. How do you control everything from the grave when you're in the grave?
Right. No,
My trust
that's the
fund,
exact
I
that's the
control
exact
everything in
thought
there.
I found
You know?
myself. Hmm. You can't, and that's the
Yeah.
exact
So it's so
thing when I thought I was gonna die. You know, my grandmother died, my father died, I had multiple uncles, aunts died of cancer. I was blessed to have a benign tumor, and they're like, okay, you're making this much money, you're making more money than any of us have made generation to generation. Why would you quit? I'm like, I can't bring any of that money to the grave with me. Number one, I can't bring any of that knowledge to the grave with me. But you know what helped me break my addiction is cannabis. I want to dive deeper into that because I can't explain why. I can't go back in time and explain why I had a benign tumor and everybody else in my family had a malignant tumor. But the one thing I can say was I was the only one that was constantly consuming
wow.
cannabis.
Mm, mm.
And one thing I can say is since I switched my diet up and it became a lot more plant-based, I haven't had one gout a flare up, knock on wood.
No, 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 no. And by the way, you that's not an accident.
At
If we
all.
keep doing things the same old way and expect different results, that's insanity.
Yes.
We some people say, like my father had diabetes, my father had prostate, my father had high blood pressure. I have none of those things. You know why? Because all it takes is a decision
Yeah.
that I'm not, I'm, you, they have convinced us. See, this is how this thing works. They convinced us that it's generational. Oh, because your dad had it, you know, but my dad was eating chitlins and
Right.
shitlins and every kind of other lins. That wasn't me, you know, so I made a decision. And this is what I'm here to tell my young people is no, don't fall in the trap. Yo, you know, because my dad, you go to the doctor. Well, you know, your father had this, so you should expect to have it. Not me. And this is where you're making the change now because you're the smartest generation that ever lived. I call y'all the GOAT, you know, the greatest of all time. Why? Because y'all have more information than you ever would go. You're global. You don't have to stay here in this country and get everything here. You can go anywhere in the world, touch people all over the world. That's a beautiful thing. And then again, this is one of the things that I communicate with when I speak to my young people, and it's out of my book. How do we fix America's hoods? And you have to offer solution. This generation is not a generation where you just want to talk. If you just want to talk, then that's why it took me so long to put this out because I wanted to make sure I had step-by-step game plan so that we could execute, not just talk about it, be about it, do it, you know?
So what is the most valuable lesson or a coaching lesson that you could give to the is a two-part question. So what's the most valuable lesson that you can give or you have given to the next generation? And what's the most valuable lesson that you've learned from the previous generation?
Well, here's the thing I gotta say, and I came up with this here. I always say, one, there's three C's:
Mm-hmm.
show that you care, show that you're consistent, and show that you're committed.
Mm.
Those are three C's that is so important to me. And when I speak to my coaches, because I'm here in New York, I'm the commissioner of the largest public school athletic league in the country, population-wise. And so basically, when I get a chance to sit to 300 or 400 coaches, I sit in front of them and I say, those are three things: caring, consistency, and commitment. Consistency is a form of discipline, all right? Because when you're consistent in what you say, And I always tell coaches, say what you mean doesn't mean that you have to be mean in what you say. Say what you mean doesn't mean you have to be mean in what you say.
Wow.
Say what you mean doesn't mean that you have to be mean in what you say. And even when it comes to your wife, your family, your kids, it's okay to say what you mean, but do you have to be mean in what you say? And a lot of relationships are breaking up because people are doing both. They're saying what they mean, but they mean in what they say. How can you be so mean to the person that you just said that you love? Show me the person that you say you love, and before you say you love me, let me decide that, because basically I need to see that, you know? So that's one of the things. And the other thing is I'm always inspecting what I expect before I give respect or call you a suspect.
Woo. Bars.
And I inspect what I expect before I give you respect or call you a suspect, and then you become a prospect.
Woo.
But until I take you through that, that can't happen. And how do I take you? I want to know that you invest your time, your talent, your treasure, or your trust. Those are the 4 investments. I inspect all what I expect from you in those 4 things.
What drove you into being a coach?
Well, like again, when you read the book, my book, It's Time to Fix America's Hood, I talk about I suffered from the case of abandonment because I lost my mother. I found her dead on the floor when I was 9 years old, because she died from alcohol.
Wow.
And then I lost a sister, I lost a brother, then I lost an uncle. I lost even my puppies, my dog, all people getting killed right in front of my face. So I was the youngest in my family. So I set out to do 2 things. I was going to get with some people, young people, and I would help raise these young people. And I would never have to be worried about being abandoned. That was my confession in my first book. I would never have to worry about being abandoned again, because I would pour into the life of these young people. And number 2 is basically I wanted to also coach my family, or breaking the cycle that I talked about of alcohol abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse, all of those next things that was taking place in this family from the hood. I needed to break that cycle with my kids. So I became a coach. I'm a coach in my family. See, I don't just start coaching when I go on the basketball court. I'm coaching in my family. I coach my family's relationships. When I talk to you, I'm coaching, because I realize that a coach, again, is like a coach bus, train, or plane. I'm Coach Gustus.
Right.
And you tell me what destination you're trying to get to, and my job is to help you get there. And depending on the price you are willing to pay will determine how fast you're going to get there.
Wow. Whew. I got a couple more. I got a couple more heaters for you. All right.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'm ready to knock them out of the park. Let's go.
All right. So tell me the difference of taking advantage of someone and taking a person for granted.
Wow, you know what? Again, this goes back to you snuck that in. Okay, I got you. You've been learning, but you know what? We actually, because we have been, we are hooked on these negative thoughts. Every word that we have became negative. So that's what we have to switch in the hood, especially America's hood.
Right.
So when someone said to you, and I asked a person, like I asked even you once, and I asked a lot of folks, how do you feel when someone take advantage of you? And right away they say, oh, I don't like people to take advantage of me. Oh, I feel bad. I feel this. I feel that. I said, well, do you know the definition of the word advantage? Advantage means to add advantage, to advance someone. So I look forward to individuals to take advantage of me. In fact, I get pissed off if you don't take advantage of me. So I have a relationship with you, and me and you, and I'm not just going to come in a relationship and say, hey, Are you taking advantage of me? Because I want to take advantage of you. Whatever skill, talent, and abilities that you bring to the table, I need to take advantage of. And I want you to take advantage of my skills, talent, and ability. Now, what I don't want you to do is take me for granted. Because when you take me for granted, that means that you think I'm going to be there regardless. You think that if you borrow money from me and you don't pay it back, you're taking me for granted. That's not taking advantage, because you took advantage by me giving you money.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. You taking me for granted when you don't give it back at the time that you said you was going to give it back. So there's a distinct difference. And they like, well, those are just words. No, words have power. Words are seeds. Seeds take roots. And when those seeds take root, they grow inside of us and they become us. I always tell people, young, especially men, in my relationship workshops, I always tell men, I said, look, you got to understand, you are the giver and the women are the receivers. It's always going to be that way. They were, what are you talking about? Well, you mean to tell me I got to give? Whatever you want out of that woman, you got to give. And she can give back to you 100-fold. And then you got church folks don't even understand that. Because the first thing I asked young men, I said, what is it that you want from that woman? And they start telling me what they want. Oh, she got to have this, she got to have that, she got to have that. No, whatever you want, you got to put into her, a seed into her, and nurture that seed, water that seed, bring it up. And eventually you'll be eating from the harvest, like that little child you have right now. Beautiful. When you hug it and hold it, that's your seed. You have a responsibility to protect your seed. And you have to have the ability to respond to protect your seed. So when you plant a seed, you don't just walk away from it, because when you do that, what you're looking at is a challenge there. You know, you're looking to make sure that you are there to protect the seed.
Right.
And so I say that because if you call a woman a bitch, you know how many bitches you're going to get? You're going to get 100 little bitches running around. Because they are designed to take in, they are the earth. They are designed to take in and give you back 100-fold. That's like you going to somewhere and you plant orange seeds and you're expecting orange seeds. So when you go back to inspect what you expect, you're expecting orange seeds. Then why are you asking for apples? Why are you asking for bananas? You planted orange seeds. So the same thing when I talk about relationship with your woman. If you plant a seed in there, expect her to give it back. And men, always remember, men, for every 300 words that we speak, women speak 3,000. For every 300, 3,000. So if you call her a bitch one time, one guy told me, I only call her bitch one time. Now she's been calling me bitch for the last 6 months. I said, you know why? Because you call her bitch one time. It took root, and now your harvest is bitch, bitch, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Right. So if you want money, you put money in. You want love, you put love in. You want respect, you put respect in. Whatever it is, we have the ability as men to put in what we want out.
Right.
And I had to learn that, but once I learned it and I got it and I understood it, I'm like, wow, I got to protect my seed and my words. Why do you think I called you up after I met you?
Right.
Why? Because I saw fertile ground and I planted seeds, and my whole idea is I cannot allow me to walk away from it, because in the biblical thing, they said that the fowls of the earth would come down and snatch the seed out before it even takes root. You see what I'm saying? So I come back and I'm like, yo, Rico, what happened? I thought I planted a great seed in there. You like, I don't know, man. Somebody took it out. you know, and that's why you got scarecrows. Because scarecrows, you put the scarecrow up to do what? Stop the negative thoughts, the negative ideas, the negative were coming back in and snatching it out. I'm telling you how great you are, and then here comes somebody else gonna snatch that seed out and put it in there like, oh, coach, tell you you're great. That dude don't know what he's talking about. So this is what we're dealing with here. This is what we're dealing, and what I do here is I spell it out. It was bubbling inside me. I would spell it out and say, hey, I got to put this in writing. I got to get to say, and once I get it into my young people, then we good to go.
Right.
That's my legacy. So I need to be, hey, guys, we got to fix the hood. It's not all good in the hood, you know?
No, it's not. That's one of my favorite lessons that you taught me was the oranges, the apples, man, because like me being in the cannabis industry, that's something that we can take literally. You know, you can't plant one product and expect to reap something else. If you're putting trash into the ground, if you're planting garbage, you're planting something flawed into the ground, you have a flawed product on the other end come harvest. And so that's why I think that's one of my favorite lessons that you taught me was you can't plant oranges and expect apples to pop up out of that tree. And that is so true. Life is all about process before progress. You have to learn, and it's not just listening, it's internalizing what you hear, internalizing the words and putting those into action, and then you can actually see the result and you get either a desirable or a non-desirable result, but you have that process and you can always go back to that process and find out exactly what you did wrong. Maybe you heard the wrong message. Maybe you took the wrong part of that message, but the important part is that you go through the process and what you said, you got to have that game plan, right?
Yo, it's so funny because sometimes my wife would say, I didn't like the way you said that to me. And I would say, well, I actually didn't like the way you heard it. Because what I said to you is not what you meant. You were hearing something else deep down in here, and I'm saying it, and I didn't mean to say it like that. But also, I didn't like the way you heard it because you heard it a kind of way. And women have a tendency of doing it because what they do is they have something in their mind already, and they say. That's the reason why I always tell us men, don't talk to them, talk in them.
Right.
Because the enemy is not outside, the enemy is inside me. So therefore, when I want to get inside a person, I want to talk in them. I don't want to talk on the outside of them. I don't want to talk to them. I want to go in. And when you talk to someone, you could affect them. But when you talk in someone, you can infect them. And the infection is the most important thing because now you can take that virus and take it to someone else and talk in them. And this is how we begin to move and groove our community. So basically, we have to start talking in each other.
Man, give me chills over here, coach. It's always something, man. Always.
Listen, man, I'm loving it, man, because when I get with y'all, I love being with my young people, man, because y'all like sponges. And I tell my generation, man, the elders, I'm like, guys, you're missing it. You're missing it. And I tell my generation, because we the baby boomers, and I write about this in the book as well. Boomers, get with the millennials. Because are you millennial, by the way? I don't know.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm on the edge. I'm 37. So
yes, you old school, you're OG millennial, right? All right, you and Jeff, then. All right, but the key is this: the millennials, they are much like us. We are the baby boomers was one to kick the doors down and like, yo, we ain't trying to do it the way y'all want to do it. You know, and your generation is that, and y'all need each other. And I told my generation, and as I try to bring them around some of the projects you're doing, and our generation got money. Well, we did some things to do it because we followed, and the generation that got the raw end of the deal was Generation X. That's why they walk around angry so much. And I understand them because they went to college and they expected that little house on the prairie, get a good job. There's the biggest lie and scandal that was told to them. And every time I go and speak, I always apologize because we didn't know any better. We thought that if we get all our kids education from the institutions, that they would be able to be successful and go out and work for somebody.
Right.
Now here come you guys like, yo, we ain't trying to do that. I'm going to YouTube University and YouTube University to learn my stuff and so forth. And y'all not people of certifications and diplomas and stuff. No, we could do this. We can do it. Now we're gonna go out and make it happen. And I ain't mad at y'all because y'all have all the technology to make it happen. And
but it's the importance is knowing what happened before us so we can expedite a desirable outcome. And I think that's a lot of the disconnect that was lost with a lot of the Gen Xers. My partner Fred, he's from he's from Gen X, but he was able, like through the military, he was able to see through a lot of that stuff and actually see through what was going on behind the scenes and why a lot of his generation did not receive a lot of the what the baby boomers actually kicked down the door for, right? Mm-hmm. And we're in my generation, the millennials, we're able to absorb all of that information on YouTube. We can go straight to YouTube and see exactly what happened behind why the promises of the baby boomers weren't realized with Gen X. We say, oh, this is what happened. We're not going to repeat that mistake. We're going to go take that information in addition to this information, and we're going to create our desired result over here so we can start creating more opportunities for the next generation as well.
I'm proud of that move, man, because that's so important, man. And I tell people, again, I'm here to use the power of my one breath to breathe life into you guys.
Yes.
That's that one breath that breathes life into you, and it's so important.
My lungs have been opened.
And that's what it's all about, because we got to be careful and I can't breathe. All these negative things that they keep pushing in our way. We got to move away. Take my breath away. I can't breathe. Those are all death sentences. Do you know that every time I do this, I'm ushering in my ancestors, my mother, my sister, my brother. So when I do my deep breath coming from my diaphragm, that's what I'm doing. That's why they never die. They have what they call eternal breath, but it only becomes eternal as long as we breathe it in. So that's why when you hear and we close the circle, I say one breath, you say breathe life. Why? Because I'm bringing it in, pushing it back to you, and we rocking and rolling. And it puts a little bit settlement into your mindset. When you at that free throw line, right? And this is what I teach. You doing what? So first thing you got to do is what? Take that one breath. Because you know why? You have the spectators, you got the fans, you got the hecklers, you got all in life trying to help stop you from reaching your goal, which is to score some buckets. You can't allow that to happen. So you take that one breath and make it happen, So I relate everything to life lessons and life things. And hopefully what my goal is in this book is to connect. I got some great stories in there about some of the things that I did that actually worked, that was not traditional or conventional, because I don't really believe if you continue to do the same thing and expect different results, That's insanity. Stuff has not worked. We still below the 2 percentile in financial. 50 years now. I've been through the 50 years. And we still below the 2%. Our net worth in Boston per family is $8 compared to 243,000. What have we been doing? That's what I've talked about being honest. If we honest, we have to tell our young people, what we did. We worked for people, we got jobs, but that did not help us. So I see what y'all doing. That's the way to go.
Right.
Now y'all need to get the
we need
support.
rehabilitation.
So yes, you got to do it. So
so we need that truth. We need that knowledge. And you have put together a 12-step program for us to look to. And I can't wait to dig in on February 1st and crack into that book. We're gonna be talking more about that book, and I can't wait to have you on again so we can review. I'm gonna go deep. I'm gonna go deep on that. Also, are you gonna be doing an audio version as well?
We're gonna actually be doing an audio. So this is a pre-sale that we're getting ready to set up that they're doing for us. So basically, because the way I want to do this, I'm gonna be on shows like this here with my young people and all over the place. So I want to build up. So the pre-sale is going to be coming out, and then little chips, and because there's a move that I need us to make. Because I don't want to put a book out and we're not making no move. We got a lot of intellectuals that put books out. This is personal to me. This is a personal thing. I've lived this, and I lived it in different angles. I lived it as a child. I elected to remain in the hood so that I could have impact. That was an election. I could live anywhere I wanted to, anywhere how I wanted, and took a chance of raising my own kids in that hood. Because normally we should say, basically get a good education and move out the hood. That means all our values, everything that is needed for the hood to be anything, we left. We decayed the community. So and then professionally, I taught in the hood. So people saw a teacher. They saw a coach that they saw on TV. They saw in the newspapers. They see all that. They see that. So a kid could touch me and say, "Oh, there go Coach Gustus, man. Oh, we saw you on TV last night. Yo, that's all right. Come over here. Let's talk." And they could feel and like, yo, he ain't a foreign person. So I offer some tips and some game plan and strategy for those type of things. I offer tips and strategy with business. I got people in there that are communicating their thoughts about things as well. So it's one of those kind of books that really brings, and then our allies are very important as well. Those people, we also show them how to not feel guilty about what it is. A product is a product. You have an opportunity to fix this product. Don't feel guilty. We're not looking for the blame game, the shame game, and anything like that there. We don't need no sympathy and so forth. We're intelligent. We can do this. Only thing we don't want is blockers. That's the thing. The blockers is the one that, you're constantly trying to block us from accomplishing what we got to do. If somebody wants to build, like in Atlanta, they're getting ready to build 19 families, got their own 97 acres of land, and they're going to build their own community. Don't go messing with our stuff. We building this community. Let them folks can build their community and live like they want.
Right.
But of course, like Wall Street, Black Wall Street and so forth, those are kind of things. So I do want to lastly say to you, there is a place I'm taking us.
Right.
So it's not just fix America's hood, because always remember that there's something in the name. And if it wasn't something in the name, they wouldn't have whipped Kunta Kinte and Roots as long as they did until he changed his name. So there's something in the name. If it wasn't something in the names, Saul would have been still Saul instead of Paul.
Right.
and the changes of the name. Why do we change names? Because what you identify with, you become. So
Yes.
we have to be conscious of that. So we have to also begin to change. Black folks, we done changed our name 1,000 times. We got a lot of names. We've been Negroes, urban, you name colored folks. How many names we got, man? Confused as heck.
Way too
Well,
many.
I'm getting ready to introduce another name to confuse us even more. And I call us the global majority citizen.
Love that.
That's who we are. We are a global majority citizen, and our youngsters got to go global. The world is our who we are. The globe is who we are. We're not. Everything is not right here in the United States. And we got more people in this country now from all the different islands and so forth that we could establish that global majority citizenship and global majority community. And that's what we build in here. So you're going to hear more about that as well,
Can't
and
wait.
how we want to do that. So we're going to talk about that, But you're going to need to smoke a lot of weed for this, though. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, yeah.
Got to be right on page, man.
It'll be clean though, so it'll be clean. So I won't be all spaced out or anything like that. I'll just be on a level where I can truly consume. I can shut up.
Yeah. You know what?
Take
It's
these.
amazing, man. It's amazing. It's amazing how the weed thing and the reapers and all that. Mary Jane, we used to call it just to keep it away from the cops.
Right.
And I never ever smoked weed.
There's no need to, and I think that's the beauty of where we are right now. And we spoke a little bit about my grandfather reaching out to me. Everything he was doing was topical, right? And when you break it,
do that. What?
Yeah, right. And when we break it down, right, throughout all of history, when you go back to the tombs of the ancient Egyptians, the tombs of the ancient Mayan civilizations, they were all buried with cannabis. They all had their cannabis stashed with them that they were buried with. Like, this is ancient medicine. And it wasn't until I think the last 120 years where it became prohibited here because of racism, because it was seen as going back to the Native Americans, the Africans and the Jamaicans over with the Panama Canal, my people, and then also with the Mexicans. Like, they knew this, the indigenous peoples, they knew that this was
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, they knew that it was medicine, and now it's coming full circle, and it's being seen as medicine. And I love the fact that now we're getting past this whole opioid kick, like, oh, it's a crisis. Like, nah, like, y'all wanted to make more money and y'all wanted to extract more money out of generations. And now it's coming back to bite y'all in the ass. But you know what helped me kick my opioid addiction was cannabis. I didn't know the science of it. And my grandfather reached out to me. I was able to pass that knowledge up a generation to him. And it's not addictive either. So my last question to you is, now we see Adam Silver with the NBA. They're no longer testing for THC. You see all these other sports leagues, they're not testing, and you see various levels of whether they're available to invest, whether they're available to consume, or whatever. Where do you see like the next generation? Not necessarily smoking it because you're actually affecting your lungs there, but I see it more as a tool for recovery. Where do you see cannabis being used, whether it's in the CBD or THC side? We can talk about like the logistics of all that later on, but how do you see the next generation being able to capitalize off of cannabis in the sport?
So it's great you asked that question, because I use the CBD type product. What you asking when this game is over?
Mm-hmm.
When game was over,
Right.
game over. So we got a game over product that is coming out. And
hold up! You gotta get some product. You already in? Okay.
So what happens is, you talk about the older generation and so forth. When the game is over, what do you do to get your body to recover quickly?
Right.
And I still like to hoop. I'm running up and down the court. I'm coming down. But this game over product, man, that I've been using all over my bodies and so forth like that, man. What I love about it is it allowed me to recover so quickly. And I remember I couldn't play 3 days in a row, you know, because being an older person, you know. But now I've been up and down the court 3 days in a row. So if you catch me on the second day, you might get it, you know. Amazing. So
amazing.
So I say that to you because the elderly generation and all of us, they need this. And I've been actually taking little portions and giving it to some of my buddies and people, because every time I play in the 50 and over league when I was and I would go in the locker room after killing young people because they 50 and I was 60, you know, and they would ask me what I was doing. And, you know, and these are the kind of things that I use that are natural and that ain't going to hurt your body and so forth. And it helps with the inflammation that we're going to you get naturally as you get older. So these are some of the things. So I spent a lot of years hanging out with the NBA, what they call NBA legends.
Right.
And to see how many NBA legends barely could walk up the stairs. They got canes, they got all of this stuff because they would brutal on their legs. And back in the day, we would take a shot just to play a game.
Right.
And the OGs, they get mad with the young people because they like, yo, my leg is hurt. I ain't taking no shot. You're gonna have to wait till this recover. And I don't blame them. You know, so the CBD becomes that product. We got to give it where it is. You guys have brought it up to the forefront.
Right.
It is what it is. And you're absolutely right. There's so many different ways that you can use this here. And I learned that from, again, John, Sally.
Shout out, John. What up, John?
John is doing his work. John got me with the diet. I don't call it diet. I call it lifestyle.
Right.
And then with the CBD. And the other thing is, when COVID came by my house, John sent me some stuff in the mail overnight. And let me tell you, it came from Brazil or something like that there, and some natural stuff, but it knocked it out like this, because that's what he does. So what I'm saying is, if you do those things, I need to learn from you. Right. This is what's going to keep me up. I don't always got to go to the doctor. I'm not a doctor type person. I like to look into the natural. I go to them just to examine my body to see what's wrong, and then I'm not taking any synthetic stuff to put in my body. I need some of the natural stuff. Right. This CBD,
from the earth,
off the brain. So when the game is over, you pull out the game over CBD, the game over lotion, the game over what's there. That's it. That's where you go at. You know, the game over shower stuff, whatever it is that you want to do. That's where we're going.
Yeah, yes. I can't wait to try that out and get that out to my people too, man, because it's like you said, everything, it comes from the earth, right? We consume what's planted into the earth, and we can put stuff back into the planet, and everything comes full circle. I definitely appreciate everything you dropped on us today. Like I said, man, I feel like a janitor. I feel like a janitor in a jewelry store, because you do nothing but drop gems, and I enjoy collecting all of them and put them out here so I can spread them out to the rest of the world as well. So the book comes out pre-sale on February 1st. We're going to be talking about that in our networks. Is there anything else you want to leave with the good people at home before we tap out today, Coach?
No, man, let me just tell you that I love you and respect you. And if you're a coach or you desire to be a coach, check out hashtag Coach Fix My Hood, because what we're going to be doing is a challenge for coaches to join along with me in fixing the hood. We're going to give you all the tools, all the things that you need. We even have a system set up so that you can have perpetual monies coming into you, so that you could do the things that you do for your kids. Because one thing about coaches, oftentimes they are underappreciated because they spend more money than they make for
Right.
sure, because I've been one of those coaches, because we're never going to see a kid go starving that need food and so forth. So I'm reaching out to all the coaches, hashtag Coach Fix My Hood. And basically, we going to come together. We're doing documentaries where we're traveling all over the country to hear the stories of the fantastic stories of coaches and what they have done to improve the quality of life of our young people. Because we have answers, coaches. We do have answers. You can't tell me LeBron James never went to college. So how does this guy get the mindset that he got? He got it from that coach. He got it from the coaches in his hood that was there, taught him how to bring his fellow teammates and bring them along with them. That didn't come from no college. That came from straight out of the hood.
Knowledge.
So I want you to know we got Jews in the hood, and I'm gonna leave you with the Tupac poem. He's like, look, Tupac said, guess what? I'm that rose that came through the concrete.
Yes.
I am one of them right there. And there's many of us, because you can't stop what needs to grow from growing, even if we got to break through the concrete.